think I'm seeing both. I'm seeing women struggle to fall asleep, but I'm mostly seeing women with what we would call fragmented sleep. So they wake up the nasty 1 a.m., 3 a.m., and then they just oftentimes can't even fall back asleep. Well, I think, well, in our 30s, that kind of starts. Sometimes we get the wake ups and be like, oh, and we might lay there a little and we roll over and eventually we fall back asleep. The closer we get to menopause, the harder that becomes. And so many women then kind of surrender and are just like, okay, it's 3 a.m. I've been trying. It's like 3:45. Let's just get up. That's the night. And then you just kind of, you're just running on sleep deprivation forever. And and then it really starts showing, right? Then it's the other things that they come in and that show. It's the brain fog, it's the exhaustion, it's the mood issues that are sometimes, yes, they could be linked to hormones, but it's also you're exhausted. Like you haven't slept in, like the clients I see, most of them haven't slept in years to decades. So it's hard.
Yeah, it's terrible. I really, when you think about, so we hear some sleep experts throw out these statistics. This was like a couple of years ago, I remember. And they were like, just one night of bad sleep can lower your immune system, increase your risk of X, Y, and Z. And so then that's really freaky for, for a woman in menopause to hear because you're like, well, most of us do have that one night of bad sleep. And like you mentioned, it can be on for years, if not decades. So you think about the cumulative damage that's happening. So, how do you approach this as a sleep coach to tell women, yes, sleep is important, but yet not have us freak out? And then every time we wake up at 2 a.m., going, oh my God, I'm damaging my brain.
If I'm dying. Exactly. Like and that is the big thing when it comes to insomnia, right? So I'm frequently not sleeping well. Either I can't fall asleep, I can't sleep through the night, or I wake up and I'm still exhausted, even after a good night's sleep. It becomes this self-sabotaging mechanism, exactly because of what you were just describing. One, we see so much fear-mongering. Social media is doing its part with that too. And some of that has been scientifically proven. But if we, like, I see these clients and they haven't slept for 2 decades and they're still trucking along fine. Not the way they want to, but they're there. They're not ill. Does it, like, try to not have that bother you too much? Because if you do take that on, and if that sets on in the middle of the night when you're laying there and you're like, oh my God, this is going to affect my heart. I'm going to get diabetes. I'm going to gain weight just because I'm not sleeping right now. You're not going to go back to sleep. Your brain is on fire in the middle of the night. Your cortisol is through the roof at that moment. Your adrenaline basically rushes in, and then that cortisol comes in. So you're just hyperactive. And even if you then try to fall back asleep because of these thoughts, you can't, because your hormones are going haywire at that moment, your stress hormones. And just try. And I know this is the hard part, and especially for people who've been going through sleep issues for longer, you have to try and accept that state. It rains outside. Yeah, it's annoying. Yeah, nothing I can do about it. Did I want to go for a walk? And now I have to bring my umbrella and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but it's still just the weather. And I'm taking it as it is. And with sleep, we kind of, while we're working on the root causes and helping ourselves to get better, have to come to a point where we can somewhat accept the position we're in, because that keeps the body calmer, in a calmer state, and that will eventually get us out of this vicious cycle of, oh my God, is it going to happen again tonight? Am I going to wake up again at 3 in the morning? Am I going to feel awful tomorrow? I'm not going to make it through that meeting. I'm going to yell at my teenage boys because they're just being obnoxious, and I have no more patience, all of because I haven't slept well, and maybe because my hormones are doing their bit there too, right? But it's really try to accept that you're still in a state of resting. Try to accept that, yes, the body's going through a rough time right now, but it's okay. And I'm still going to be okay tomorrow. And if I can slowly get less and less stressed about this, that already gives us a huge leeway in trying to address the underlying issues, because we're trying to stop pumping stress hormones into the system. I think they are both very much a part of that equation. And I think that puzzle is a bit individual for each and every one of us. What I do think is that in the earlier stages, so 35, 40, maybe even into 45. Even there, it's often a big part of it is often a stress and a cortisol issue that starts masking itself in menopausal symptoms. And then when we actually dive in, women are like, you know what, my periods are becoming irregular. I'm really moody. I have water retention. I have breast tenderness. I have this and this and this, and things where we're like, oh, I have sleep issues, of course. So it all kind of hints towards perimenopause, menopause, and it could be. But often, if we then look at the whole picture, with the client, so looking at their gut, looking at their hormones. So by hormones, I don't just mean estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol, melatonin, DHEA, pregnenolone. Like there's other hormones in there, right? That are affected. Then we often see a stress picture. We often see either very high cortisol levels, which can, depending on when that cortisol is released throughout the day, affect your sleep, because if that happens at night, and we often see that, then of course you can't sleep because your body is in full go mode and doesn't want to rest. Then we often also see we're already past that peak of excessive cortisol excretion over years and years and years of motherhood and working. And then comes the sandwich generation, right? And then we get into that group. And then our cortisol is so depleted that will for sure also have an impact on our body's ability to even make anything like a progesterone. Like when cortisol is low, DHEA, that counter hormone, will downregulate because the body's trying to keep a balance. If that downregulates, your estrogens and testosterones can downregulate because they're made out of that DHEA. So the body is smart and adapts, but it is often, I think, in today's society, how we live, it is so often at least started from a stress response that wasn't caught early enough. Because just like you said, women then are like, oh, I'm 35, I'm 37, I'm 39, I'm not sleeping well. That's going to sort itself. And then it doesn't. And we just accept it because if you actually start talking to your friends, you notice everybody's kind of on the same boat. And you're like, oh, it must be normal. I don't feel well, but this is just what everybody's going through. And if you don't address it, it just makes everything worse. I think a lot of women then have a harder time going through menopause because all of this is happening at the same time and everything is kind of low, like really dumps then, and there's no backbone of proper rejuvenation because the sleep is gone and the cortisol is gone. So we don't have energy and we don't have the rejuvenation. And if we don't have that, we also, like, people are always like, sleep's good for looking good and feeling good in the sense of having energy. Sleep is so important for emotional health because emotional regulation is what REM sleep is all about, like that dream phase. And I work with so many women, and I was like that myself because I had a traumatic period in my life where for years I wasn't dreaming. The body just didn't. And then it came in like, ooh, then it came in big waves. But I see that often with my long-term insomnia clients. They are like, I haven't dreamt. And it's not that I can't recall details of my dream. I know I've never actually, I haven't dreamt. And it's so important because if we don't do that, this whole anxiety issues, depressive issues that we often experience with the menopause journey, if we're not sleeping, that's your foundation for the body to actually have that work. And if that's already gone, you just have nowhere to recharge that emotional battery. And that makes it even worse, right? And then come all the gut changes with stress, with not sleeping, with tanking estrogen in menopause, right? Like all that affects our gut microbiome. Our gut microbiome is fundamentally important in how we feel, not just physically, but emotionally. And if we have that out of whack, because of the stress, because of the not sleeping, because of the hormones, then just everything just becomes what so many women are like, I'm not myself anymore. I feel like a disaster. I can't function, right? It's just marriages fall apart, like you were saying with the divorces, right? It's just all connected. But sleep is, to me, one of the underlying foundational things that if you get them right, so many things fall into place. That stress component can be managed better, which gives you that smoother transition through perimenopause and menopause.